Good afternoon. This is the District of Columbia's Office of Tax and Revenue Certificate of Clean Hands webinar for August 2020. I am the presenter, Amy Fields, and I am the manager of the Collection Division. Today's agenda, we will discuss what's new with the Certificate of Clean Hands, the Clean Hands process overview, how to obtain a certificate of clean hands, and how to validate those notices. So what's new? The Clean Hands new process was launched on April the 15th, 2020. Requests for certificate of clean hands must now be done electronically via mytax.dc.gov. Verification is also completed via mytax.dc.gov. Verification of clean hands no longer requires a log-on for agencies. The request for the certificate of clean hands can only be initiated by the taxpayer. mytax.dc.gov web portal enables non-log-on or log-on options. What's new for the Certificate of Clean Hands? The Clean Hands status will be verified in real time via mytax.dc.gov with the last 4 digits of the taxpayer's Social Security number, the FEIN, and the notice number. Required documents can be attached to the portal to assist in obtaining a certificate of clean hands, and any inquiries for clean hands requests will need to be sent to the Collections Division at area code 202-724-5045, or an email can be sent to cleanhands.cert@dc.gov. We will now discuss the Clean Hands process overview. The Office of Tax and Revenue Collection Division receives clean hands requests from district agencies and third-party vendors. The following steps are taken to research these certifications. OTR Collections Division researches each application through its modernized integrated tax system, MITS for short, for any account receivables owed an aggregate of $100 or more, and whether district tax returns have been filed. OTR may discover that the applicant is not in compliance with the following requirements of the District of Columbia. A notice of non-compliance will generate and list the agency with whom they are non-compliant, as well as the main contact number of that agency. Responsible officers or authorized representatives, the power of attorney, may call the agency to obtain the information needed to bring the account into compliance for clean hands issuance. We will now look at what the process would be for non-log-on applicants. For non-log-on applicants, the requirements are: you must live outside of the District of Columbia. You are not required to file in DC or be a DC resident, which means or you move to DC after January 1st of the current year. You cannot be a business. All businesses are required to submit an FR 500. You must have a scanned copy or picture of a valid driver's license or valid non-driver's license ID to attach to your request. Your contact information is also needed: email address, phone number, and your residential address. Please note that the Certificate of Clean Hands will expire 90 days after the date of issuance, Once expired, applicants will need to reapply. The certificate will be emailed to the address that is provided. So please be sure to use the email address that when you're doing your contact information, that you would like your certificate to be emailed to. From the mytax.dc homepage, you're going to click the Clean Hands link from either the business or individual column as seen above. You will click Request a Certificate of Clean Hands link. And also, if you notice, it says if you do not currently have a MyTax account and are not eligible to sign up for one, you may request a certificate of clean hands here. From the Certificate of Clean Hands request page, answer the corresponding questions and then click Next. The first question will be, are you required to file taxes in DC? That answer should be no. And do you live in DC? That answer should also be no. In this example, if the answer is yes to the first question and no to the second question, business and true DC residents will be prompted to request a certificate of clean hands by logging into mytax.dc.gov as shown above. If the response to both questions is yes, an additional question is displayed, which is, did you move to DC on or after January 1st of the current year? Any business attempting to use the non-log-on certificate of clean hands request will be instructed to complete a FR 500. In this example, non-DC residents will be instructed to attach a copy of their government-issued ID by clicking the Add Attachment link. On this screen, you will enter all information in the required fields. Once that is done, you will hit Submit. It's important to note on this screen, once the address is entered, the full address, city, state, and zip code, you must choose the option that says Validate, and that will validate the mailing address to ensure we are in line with USPS. Please note, if a DC address is entered, MyTax will prompt you to log into mytax.dc.gov. Once all of the information is entered, it will ask you, are you ready to submit the request? You will click OK to submit to obtain a confirmation number. From the confirmation page, you will click Printable View to obtain a copy of the Clean Hands request. If approved, the certificate will be emailed within 3 business days. Please note, remember to keep a copy for your records. In this section, we will take a look at how to apply for a certificate of clean hands for log-on applicants. For log-on requirements, you must be a DC resident. You must have a MyTax DC account for a business or an individual. New businesses must complete the FR 500 and register for a MyTax account. For issues utilizing MyTax, if you have any technical assistance that may be required navigating on the portal, please contact OTR's e-services unit at 202-759-1946, or you can email them at e-services.otr@dc.gov. Log on application process for compliant applicants. From the home page, you will enter your username and password and click Login. From the My Tax home page, under the I Want To header, click the Request a Certificate of Clean Hands. Then you will select a reason that you are applying for a Certificate of Clean Hands from the drop-down menu. Enter a brief explanation of why you are applying for the Certificate of Clean Hands in the required field and then hit Submit. If you have to choose other, because the other options did not fit the reason that you're applying for the Clean Hands, you will use this function to just enter a brief explanation. Once that is done, the next page, a confirmation number will be generated, and then click OK. Under the Alerts column, click the Unread Letter link or click directly on Unread Letters at the bottom right hand of the screen. These are two places where you can see the Certificate of Clean Hands. This is what the Certificate of Clean Hands will look like for compliant applicants. This also you want to print, and you'll have as many copies for your record as possible. Notice this includes the date, your social security number, case ID, the last 4 digits of the social, and your notice number. Now we will view a non-compliant applicant. From the My Tax DC home page, under the I Want To header, you will click Request a Certificate of Clean Hands link. You click Submit to generate a notice of non-compliance. So if the taxpayer is not eligible to receive a Certificate of Clean Hands, this is the response that will be seen. A confirmation number will populate, and then click OK. From the My Tax DC home screen, under the Alerts header, you can click the Unread Letter link or select Unread Letters at the bottom right hand of the page. The Letters window is displayed. Click the Notice of Non-Compliance link to obtain the notice. It's important to know that every time a certificate is requested, a notice of non-compliance is generated if non-compliance or the Certificate of Clean Hands is made available to print. It keeps up with the date history. A district agency to which you have previously submitted your Certificate of Clean Hands can re-verify your eligibility and generate an updated certificate on your behalf. This is what the notice of non-compliance will look like. It will still have the current day's date, your notice number, the last 4 digits of your social or FEIN, as well as a case ID. The agency to which you have an outstanding obligation is listed at the bottom of this notice. So it's very important to take a look at what agency that is and contact that agency specifically to find out what it is that you need to do to become compliant. Now we will discuss validating a Certificate of Clean Hands. To validate a Certificate of Clean Hands, you must have that notice number and the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. You will now be able to confirm the authenticity of the certificate and receive real-time clean hands status updates as reflected in the system at the time of the request. Validating a clean hands for compliant applicants. From the MyTax homepage, you will click the Clean Hands link from either business or the individual column as seen above. You will then click Validate a Certificate of Clean Hands. On this screen, you will enter the notice number and the last 4 digits of the taxpayer's ID. Under the current status section at the bottom of the page, you will actually see the real-time status displayed of that individual. In this example, the taxpayer is compliant. You will verify the information and click Submit to request a clean hand certificate. A confirmation number will then populate. You click View Certificate to print a copy or retain for your records. Here is a clean hands notice for a compliant applicant that has populated once all the information was put in and verified. We will now view the non-compliant status of an applicant. If the taxpayer is not in compliance, it will be displayed under the current status section. So you will still put in the notice number and the last 4 digits of the taxpayer's ID and hit search. And it will tell you at the bottom, the taxpayer is currently not in compliance. To generate the notice of non-compliance, you verify the information that was entered and you click Submit. You can then click View Notice to see the notice of non-compliance. This notice of non-compliance is indicating that the business or individual has an outstanding liability with the Office of Tax and Revenue. That phone number is displayed as well as the address. This is the agency which whom the individual or business must contact to find out what they need to do to become compliant to receive a certificate of clean hands. Please visit mytax.dc.gov for a complete list of our FAQs concerning the new Certificate of Clean Hands process. For technical assistance with the portal, it can be obtained by calling OTR's e-Services Unit at 202-759-1946. If you are logged into your MyTax account, you can also send a webmail message to eServices directly at e-services.otr@dc.gov. Specific clean hand inquiries can be emailed to cleanhands.cert@dc.gov as well. This concludes the end of the presentation on our new Clean Hands process.